All right, today we are expanding our knowledge base here of linear equations with some new information. So let's put our name and date at the top here. So we've already talked about y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form. This one is going to give us a new form to think about. So remember that m stands for slope and b stands for the y-intercept. We're going to get some new variables today, something that you've seen already. So we have a little paragraph down here. You can write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. That was y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, when you know the slope and the y-intercept. You can write an equation of a line in point-slope form when you are given the slope and the coordinates of a point that are not the y-intercept. So you'll be given m, or you can find m, and you'll be given a coordinate grid marker, an ordered pair. There we go. And that point slope form looks like this. So to make that a little bit bigger, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And you've seen m before. We know that that stands for slope. So here's our slope, and here is our ordered pair, the x1 and y1. You've seen that in when we solve for slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's something you've seen before in a different form. So a lot of times, with a lot of these, we're going to solve the point slope form for y to get it into y equals mx plus b, or slope intercept form. So we'll start with point slope and we'll end up in slope intercept most of the time. Okay, so let's just try some. So slide 2 says write an equation in point slope form. So that's point slope form is the one we just had on that other slide. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then we get to leave it at that. So we're given slope. Remember, that's m. So I want you to write this point slope form every time. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, so that you learn it. We know that here, our first ordered pair, that's x1. The second number is our y1. So y minus 3 equals, here's our slope, m, 4 times x minus x1. Oops, x1 is negative 2 in this case. And what's a negative minus 2? So minus minus becomes plus. So here is our point slope form. That's all it wanted, point slope. Number 2 says take that and write it into slope intercept form. So we're going to solve it for y, basically. So I'm just going to rewrite it down here. Well, I see this 4, so we're going to use the distributive property here and distribute my 4. 4x multiplying to both. Then I'm going to add 3 to both sides to get the y by itself. So I get y equals 4x plus 11. And I'm done. This would be slope intercept, because of the slope and the intercept. So the intercept is 0, 11, where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, let's try another one. It says write an equation in point slope and in slope intercept form. So basically, when we start with this, we'll end up with that if we keep going. And then that will work out just fine. For a line that passes through this ordered pair and has a slope of negative 1/2. So start off by rewriting that point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The y1, this is x, this is y. So y minus 2 equals slope negative 1/2 times x stays minus x1. X minus negative 1 will become x plus 1. There's point slope form. But it asks us to go farther and get it into slope intercept form. So I'm just going to distribute my negative 1/2 because I'm on my way to working toward y equals negative 1/2 x, and then minus 1/2, because negative 1/2 times 1 is negative 1/2. I need to get rid of this minus 2, so I would add 2 to both sides. So y equals negative 1/2 x. $2 minus 50 cents is $1.50, which is 1.5, or 3 over 2. So either one would work. This one might be easier to find on a graph. Find one box at 1.5 down. Okay, Now they're giving us a ton of information. Depending on what information is presented in the problem, helps you rewrite the equation. So if you're given slope and a point, so if you're given m and an ordered pair, we would put it in practice what we were just doing. If we were given slope and y-intercept, or m and b, we would put it into y equals mx plus b. From a graph, we'd have to find the slope. I like to draw a triangle there, rise over run. And then we would pick a point and plug it into this form. From 2 points, we would use y2, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the slope. And then we would pick an ordered pair, one of the two ordered pairs. We're going to practice that on the other side and use this. From a table, that's when we find the constant rate of change, the cracks, that's our slope. And then we would just pick one of the xy's to plug back into that form. So a lot of them, when you're given an ordered pair, you use the point slope form because you're given a point. Okay, so this one says write an equation in point slope form and slope intercept form. So when we go from here to here, from the line that equation passes through these 2 points. So they didn't give me the slope, so I have to find the slope. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 9 minus 1 over negative 2 minus 8. 9 minus 1 is 8. Negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10. This simplifies to negative 4/5. So there's m. So I'm going to plug it into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I can pick whatever ordered pair I want. I'm just going to pick the first one. So that's the one I'm going to use. So y minus y1, in this case is 1, equals m, which is negative 4/5, times x minus 8. So there's point slope form. Point slope. Now I'm going to keep going, solve for y to get into y equals mx plus b, or slope intercept form. So bring down my y minus 1 equals negative 4/5 times x is negative 4/5 x. This one's kind of ugly, so 8 doesn't go into 5, 5 doesn't go into 8, nothing common. So 4 times 8, negative times negative is positive, is 32 over 5. Now I'd have to add 1 to both sides, but since I'm working with a common denominator of 5, I'm going to add, instead of 1, I'm going to change it to 5/5, because now I have common denominators. So they go away over here, but I get y equals negative 4/5 x plus 37 over 5. And there is slope intercept form. Okay, let's practice doing that 2 more times. We're given 2 ordered pairs. So we start by finding the slope. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that would be negative 3 minus 0 over 6 minus 3. Negative 3 minus 0 is negative 3. Over 6 minus 3 is 3. So this simplifies to negative 1. So now I'm going to use this first order pair, and I'm going to plug it into point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the y1 is 0. Y minus 0 equals m times x minus 3. Well, that's nice. That goes away. So y equals negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3. So the y-intercept is 3, and the slope is negative 1. All right, trying this again here. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2, negative 10, minus 2 over 5 minus negative 1. So this becomes a plus. Negative 10 minus 2 is negative 6, or 12, sorry, negative 12 over 6, which that equals negative 2 when simplified. So there's our m, there's our slope of negative 2. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to pick, doesn't matter which order pair, y minus 2 equals m, negative 2, times x minus negative 1. Becomes plus. Y minus 2 equals distributing, negative 2x minus 20. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals negative 2x plus 18. y-intercept, slope. Starts at 18, goes down, falls 2, runs 1, falls 2, runs 1. Okay, switching it up a little bit, they're given a graph. So if you look on slide 4, it says to find your slope. I like to draw a triangle to find this slope. And they don't really give two clear, distinct points, like they don't give you 2 dots. So we'll just have to make 2 dots. So, here we go. Looks like it crosses right there and right here. Well, you might know that this is the y-intercept. So we know that this is b. b is 4. We just need to find the slope. So this is not a rise, but a fall of 1, 2, 3, 4. Fall of 4. Run of 1, 2, 3. So my slope is negative 4/3. Well, if I know m and I know b, I know the equation is y equals mx plus b. And that's slope-intercept form. So now we just plug in our new values. M is negative 4/3. Put the x on there. Plus b, so plus 4. We could have also used these 2 ordered pairs. Or 3, 0. And we could have plugged them into point-slope form and then solved for y equals. That would have given us the same result. So it just kind of depends on what you see first. The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Have a great day.